What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Roots and Streams podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Yamas. Today, I have a very special guest, somebody that I've grown up with, man, for as long as I could remember. We've always said we're cousins, but we're not really cousins, and I've had to explain it to my kids, and they kind of get it. Our parents are super close, and I think probably until we even got older, we didn't realize we were cousins. But yeah, just so we're doing this remote. He's moved to Texas, and he just hit me up. He's like, hey, I've been through some things financially in my marriage, and I just want to share some wisdom. And I'm all about that. I'm about bringing people on that can share wisdom with all of y'all, and especially if it's rooted in biblical stewardship. And I was like, I haven't talked about that much about that yet. So we're going to get into some things. Definitely that'll be the focus. But without further ado, Jose Maestas.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I'm excited to be on. Oh, what?
Yeah. Bang, bang, bang.
Wait. I should have had my sound effects ready. And man, you are a cousin. If you come over for Christmas multiple years, you're a cousin.
Yeah. So, okay. I appreciate it. it. Because I don't know. Because it always happens that when I'm talking to me, but wait, where are they connected? But I appreciate that.
Well, my tia's friend from down the street, her sister had a friend. No.
Yeah. We'll find some way. Even though you're in you grew up in Fresno.
No, dude.
No, not Fresno. Sorry. So not Fresno. Delano.
Oof.
Not Delano.
That's an insult.
Dang it.
This is going to be a very short podcast.
Fresno's. How far is Fresno from Delano?
It's about an hour and a half.
Okay, so it's
in the wrong direction. No, I love Fresno. Fresno is where Derek Carr came out of, and Devontae Adams, who were both Raiders. So, yeah, I love Fresno.
Yeah, see, nothing wrong with Fresno. No. I think I'm mixed up because I do know some people from Fresno too. But yeah, Delano, dude. So we were talking recently on the phone, and I think by just kind of jumping in here, we're gonna go through probably both ways. We're gonna go backwards and forwards. But you wanted to share how your recent move to Texas, and recent as in 2017, 2018, you said?
2017, yeah.
2017. Just all the challenges, but one in particular was finances. And I would imagine moving, having to find a new house, you found a new job, adjusting everybody,
yeah,
and then adjusting your finances. What was it that made you realize that you needed to make a change, or you needed to get rooted into more stewardship and looking after your finances?
Well, I think we just finally hit that moment of enough is enough. Right. We were in California, and I mean, it happened. It had been a lifelong issue. Right. I grew up.
So this is before the move. Okay.
It was before I moved out here. If anything, when I moved out to Texas, we had additional leverage. It's a lot cheaper to live out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a raise moving out here. And we don't have to pay taxes, state taxes out here, so we get all of our check, not half of it to California.
So it's just federal. Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, we were in a better position with our income when we moved out here, right? But it was just the learned behaviors and the bad habits that I had just kind of growing up. My parents both managed money differently, and I was never really taught how to manage my finances. I was never really taught how to maintain a budget and how to live within my means. So it was a struggle. It was a real struggle in California because I was working 3 jobs, trying to keep us in a nice area and just, trying to keep our head above water. And, I got a job opportunity, and we really, really, really prayed about it and thought about it. And it was look, the boys are getting to a certain age. Roman, my oldest, was, I think in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and he was starting to build a group of friends. And we're like, hey, if we wait any longer, it's going to be that much harder for us to move. It's going to be that much harder for Roman to build up another solid group of friends, which we know as you're growing up, you need that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled the trigger and we moved out here. And you know, I was supposed to be managing the finances for the family. Didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing a bad job. And ended up, you know, we were in debt, and our savings was dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And it was just like, it was a spiral. And I was trying to fix it, and I was trying to fix it, but I didn't have the tools to know how. And I was like, I got this. And I was keeping it all to myself, and then it all fell apart.
Oh man.
And it was really, really tough on me and Aaron. And just, you know, finances is one of the, if not the biggest causes of divorce. And, you know, we felt it, like we were on the edge. But luckily we had people around us who were pouring into us. I had a group of men who, were through the church. They were faith, filled, and they were spirit led men, and they were pouring into me, and they were helping lift me up when I was, you know, just riddled with shame and guilt from just not being able to do my part. Like, I'm supposed to provide for the family. I'm supposed to make sure bills are paid and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, be the breadwinner. Mm-hmm.
Right. And you just, you know, all of that shame and guilt and the pride that I was feeling was just keeping me down. It was preventing me from really just getting past it and being at a place where I can accept something else, right? So we just hit a rock bottom, and it was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, yeah, one of our friends came over one day and helped us put a budget together. And she was a facilitator of the Financial Peace University curriculum. So we took that, and I ended up reading on a road trip. I had to go pick up our car that was in Oklahoma. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is about 4 hours away. And on the ride back, I was listening to the Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. And man, that book changed my life. Like, I was broken down on the way back crying because it was exactly what I needed. And I was just convicted and inspired. Like, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And we both, I mean, it took some work for us to get back to a good spot just within our marriage.
Yeah.
But when we were locked in, it was go time, and we ended up paying off almost $90,000 in debt in 15 months. Mm-hmm. And saved up, and we're completely debt free now. And the only debt we have is our mortgage.
Yeah.
And, never going back. It all started with the budget. It all started with us understanding what our money, like how much money we have, what we're spending on, and then telling every dollar what to do. Instead of wondering where our money is going, we're actually telling it where it's going to go. So
I'm going to like backtrack a little bit. And if you don't mind me prying, and you could share as much or as little as you'd like.
Yeah.
Cause you mentioned like hitting rock bottom, like kind of wrestling with that provider stress, anxiety. Like, what did that look like practically? Because I'm thinking here, living in LA, like you got to get, you know, your Starbucks, which is like $5 minimum. I don't even know. I don't go to Starbucks, but like I'm thinking, let's just push it up to like 8 to 10 if you're getting something to eat, you know. And that's like, and say you don't go daily, let's just say like three to 5 times. You got so many subscriptions that you're like watching your telephone, like you can easily like rack up a couple $1,000s in just like daily habits, right? And that's before like mortgage and car payments and things like that. But like, what did that look like for you guys? Like, what did you find that was kind of like causing issues like that were that you can tie to like finances? Because I know, like watching you before you left, and we talked about this over the phone, like how, dude, you were like doing freelance. I don't know if you still are, but like freelance, like website stuff. We were going on trips doing photography. Then we would do like wedding. I was helping you with wedding photography. Then you had your actual like real full-time job. You were like a director of, was like just like marketing.
Art director. Yeah.
Yeah. Art director. I don't even know where you found time to sleep. And I don't know if you were sleeping those days.
I wasn't sleeping. I mean,
So what did some of those
time to
days look
sleep,
like?
but I couldn't sleep because I was too stressed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What did some of those days look like or feel like that you?
Yeah. Before everything like really came to the surface, and before we were forced to address where we were at financially, man, it was a matter of wanting to keep up with the Joneses, wanting to not disappoint, right? As someone who should be providing, like, and wanting to do things with the family, going out to eat here and there, needing a new car, want to get a good car for the family, and it's got to be brand new. All of these things where it's like, it's just not necessary. And it was just that lifestyle and that creep, like you said, it's like little things add up, right?
Yeah.
Subscriptions to things, and just spending. A lot of it was going out to eat. When you really dive into it, most people overspend on food. It's really what it is. People go out to eat a lot, which just completely blows up their budget. Even now it's like food subscriptions with like getting meat delivered at your door, and like all these things, DoorDash, all of these things, just they add up fast. But that's where we were, man. That's what it was. Is like, I couldn't say no. I had a hard time saying no, like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. We wanted to go take the kids on vacation on the summer, right? We didn't have the money to do it, but I couldn't say no.
It's just like the thing to do.
Yeah.
Like that's what everyone's doing. It just feels right. But, and I know I've done this of like, I think we can afford it. Just put it on and we'll pay it off later. And usually we do, but still it's not very good stewardship of like saving up and knowing you have that like carved out amount for that. Instead of just like, I think it works. Like it feels, oh my gosh, like,
The first time we went on a vacation and we paid cash for it, I was crying.
Oh, wow.
Like we went on, so we paid off all of our debt. And we went on an Alaskan cruise. And we took the kids on an Alaskan cruise. Like me and Aaron had been before. My uncle paid for us at the time. And so he paid for us. So we really didn't spend much. And we always wanted to take the kids. We paid off all of our debt, and we had an emergency fund. We had savings, and we decided to go on an Alaskan cruise, and we paid for it in cash. We saved up for a year and a half, 2 years. And it was incredible because you can see all of these people who are like spending like there's no tomorrow and putting it on credit cards. And man, we're just like, man, there's so much stress behind that. Like when they get home, there's going to be thousands of dollars of debt that's going to be waiting for them at their door. Yeah. And like we're here in a position now because we've been good stewards and we've done what people don't do. Like normal society now is get debt. You gotta have a good credit score. So you need to get debt so you can have a good credit score so you can get more debt. And then that way you pay off that debt so you can get a better score so you can get better debt. Right. Like, come on. Like, that's just the way the society runs nowadays. And it's all the banks. Like, who benefits that? The banks. Yeah. They're the ones who benefit from it, right? They created the whole system. It's
then like, we started on points and how we think we're making money on like credit card points.
Yeah. No, it was not. Don't even go there. Don't even go there.
I try to be good at like not carrying balance. So it has. I'll admit this. I haven't been as good since I've left my job, but pretty good about not carrying a balance. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to spend that money, but then there is like that inkling in your head. I don't know if you still deal with this. That like you still end up spending more if you're putting on a credit card.
100%.
Even if like I feel like we're really good though about paying off the balance, but I still feel like we probably could have saved more because there's just still that like disconnect.
Yeah.
And I think that's like probably even though I'm paying it off or whatever, like that's like the catch, right? Is like the further they can get you disconnected from what you're actually making and what like your actual means are, like they're winning, you know, because you're going to be spending more than what you need to.
Like, so it really goes down to how our bodies are wired, right? Our bodies are wired for like an exchange, a trade, right? We have cash, we give cash, and we get something else in return, right? We're doing an even exchange. When we're using a credit card, we give the credit card and you give me this and then you give me the credit card back. So there's no friction.
So it's like the way kids think of it when they grow up. They're like, just give me the card.
It's free.
It's free.
But that's it. Like it does something different in our brain. Like just physiologically, it triggers different chemicals in our brain. When we pay with cash, there's pain involved because we're giving something away, right? So there's a difference when you have cash and you're like, I don't, okay, fine. I'll do it. Right. I'll buy this. When it's a credit card and even a debit card kind of works the same way because you still get to keep it. That is gone. I mean, if you really think about it, like why does every single credit card company have a point system? Because you're going to buy more and you're going to not cash in those points because 80% of points just go unused. And it's a study that's been, I can't remember. I think it was a Harvard study. But they find that 80% of the points don't even get used. And that's why every single card company has it because it benefits the card company. Like it makes people spend more and like dude, if you want to give me $10,000 and I'll give you $100, then yeah, I'll do that right away, any day. You want 1% back on your money? Just come to me. I'll do that. I'll be glad to give you 1% back on something.
So, no, I just can't. So you're tackling something, and I think everyone's hearing it like. And it sounds like, so I haven't read Dave Ramsey. I'm somewhat familiar, like Robert Morris, like I always hear like his sermon on it. And I know Dave Ramsey tied in there. And I know Transformation Church, one of the churches I'm like really tied into, they've offered like courses from Ramsey's like courses. But it sounds to me like what you're talking about, like playing, like having physical money and doing more things with physical money is like a principle of theirs.
It is. So it's the backbone of the whole approach to like the way Dave Ramsey teaches finances. It's just about behavior. It's about behavior change. And because finance is an emotional thing. It's not math. Yeah. Right. Especially like when you're talking about getting out of debt. When you're talking about getting out of debt, you can't use the math. Because it's an emotional thing. Like there's this very specific method that they use and it works, man. I could tell you, like we paid off that much money in a little over a year. And it's because we use their system. It's called the snowball method. And what you do is you line up all of your debts from the lowest balance to the highest balance, and you pay minimum payments on all of them. Right? To keep them current, you pay minimum payments on all of them. Then you take every little bit of extra money you have. You work jobs. You don't go into a restaurant unless you're working there. You do everything you can to pour money into that first, pour money into that first one. You get that paid off, and then take the payment that you were paying on that one and add it to the payment that you were paying on the second one. And so now you have, a bigger chunk that you're paying. you work hard, pour everything into that. And when that one's done, you take the payment from the first and the second and now put it on the third. And you can see it builds a snowball. So by the end, you're paying like $500, $600 a month on a payment for something, and you're knocking the debt off super fast. And
go ahead. Yeah.
The finance gurus and accounting would tell you, no, you're wasting money because you need to pay the lowest interest rates last. You need to pay off the one that's the highest interest rate because you're spending more money there. Problem is, if you pay a debt off in a year, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, no,
like
for sure.
2% versus 6% is not going to matter. And you need the emotional wins, because if you try and pay off a low percentage loan, usually that's a higher loan, right? That's a car loan. That's $20,000 you're trying to pay off. That's going to take a really long time. And chances are you're going to burn out before you're even done. So you're not going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
But if you get this small win, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this.
This is possible.
You get the next one, you're like, dude, this is happening. The third, the fourth, you're like, what the, let's go. Right. So it's an emotional thing. It's not the math, it's the emotion behind it. And that's really what they focus on. So that's why that's like, if your behavior is so bad, like you need to provide guardrails for yourself, then have an envelope with cash for your spending money and use that, because it'll take the temptation out of just swiping a card.
For sure. Oh, that's brilliant. No, I could totally see that. Like that gets me excited even thinking about that. Because typically I would think what we do is if we pay off a credit, it's like, I have this extra like money now that I can find a new thing to go and put that into, especially if we could pay off like 3 or 4 like, credit cards, and it's like, I can just get another car or something that could replace that instead of trying to pay off something.
Save up. And then in 2 years you get yourself a car with cash, and then you never have to worry about a payment. You never have to worry about, oh man, I lose my job and I can't make the payment this month. You don't have a payment.
Yeah.
It eliminates all of that risk.
It's too practical, because oftentimes we're like, there has to be a balance, I think, and I'm gonna lean more towards like on our responsibility to be practical and good stewards of like, oh, I need God to come and save me like right now, because like they're gonna repo my car and I need to pay my mortgage, but I wasn't a good steward of my money, so it's like, not that he can't and he wouldn't, but also like, are we doing our part, right, to also watch over what he's already giving us, to look after. So yeah, it's there has to be some ownership of like what we're getting ourselves into. And another thing you touched on, and it makes me think of something I'm reading right now, about 7 deadly sins. And one of them is, they don't call it greed. Give it another name, but we'll just say greed. No, it's,
no, not
avarice. Avarice. I had never heard of this word before, but it's about greed.
I mean, it's not gazebo or shrewberry.
Yes. Who said shrewberry?
You said shrewberry. I'm like, shrubbery.
So what was the game that? What was this? It wasn't taboo.
It was taboo. It was taboo. It was taboo.
Oh, I hate taboo.
That was so funny.
There's just certain words that you shouldn't. When you get grown up in certain areas, and who has gazebos? Nobody has gazebos that they grew up.
You mean gazebo, Matthew?
Dude, there was too many people there to hear that.
Yeah.
That's like one of my nicknames that Joe has for me.
Yeah.
That is gazebo. Along with like, I think your uncle calls me super salad. There's just some odd.
Yeah, it's a weird family.
Okay, but avarice is the word. Probably haven't heard of it, and it's more like focused on like on money. That's why. But in the book I'm reading, I talk about like affluenza, the affluenza virus.
Yeah,
like
affluenza A.
Yeah. And that like, and you were talking about it earlier about trying to always like, okay, we have this level of comfort. What's the next level of comfort? Oh, okay. Now that's our baseline, and that's like, that's like okay, right? And now like, what's the next one? And then we're kind of living in a, we're living in a time where not that it's a bad thing. The like lower and middle class are seeing the most amount of comfort and luxury that has ever been seen. And so I think once we get like kind of a taste of it, it's like, well, what more is there?
Right.
And then it's kind of like keeps us at that. All right, I can afford buying out, this many times a week. Well, why don't we go to nicer restaurants? Because, forget McDonald's 5 times a week. What if we can get like Thai food like 5 times a week, And it's like, it's just always the next thing. And like, there's just something in us that's like pulling us and making us feel like we need to do those things. Yeah.
There's definitely been a lack of contentment. And I think social media does a lot to push like, hey, this is what everybody's like celebrating online. Like, selfies in an infinity pool on a Tahiti vacation. Like, meanwhile, like, the vacation's a horrible vacation. It was raining half the time and their luggage got lost, but everyone just posts the good stuff. Right. So it's like trying to keep up that expectation. Like it's just drowning people. Like, I think there's the only true peace you'll get from money is giving it away. Is using it to give, because that's really what you can't find happiness, like long-term happiness and joy through things and material things, right? It'll fill a need for a little bit, but then that hole will still be there and you'll still have to fill it. And the only way you're really going to, feel contentment and fill that void is through generosity and through giving and changing people's lives and seeing what that does and how you make people feel. Man, there's nothing better than generosity, than giving. Like, it's insane. Like we've put, since we paid off debt, like we have a budget, like we live by our budget. And we put a line item in our budget every month for giving, not just like tithing and giving to the church, but just a money set aside for just random giving. When we see it, when we see something, when we see a need, then we can give and we can have that. We just have the ability now because we don't have any debt and because, we're managing our finances responsibly. We have the ability to just react to someone or, tip $100 to a waitress who's having a hard day.
Yeah.
And just the light that it brings. Like I've always wanted to buy someone's meal at a restaurant, and we did that one time and it was amazing. Like just seeing God work was amazing, because that's really who's doing it, man.
Yep.
Like without God, we wouldn't even have the ability to manage the finances the way. I mean, this is how he says to manage your finances. Like the borrower slave to the lender. Biblical. That's from the Bible. Right? And then in Proverbs, it tells you about if you sign surety, which is debt, right? If you have debt, then it says, free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, and the bird from the hand of the fowler. So it's basically saying, like,
save your life,
work hard, save your life, run fast, and get out of debt. Back in biblical times, if people had debt, they were slaves.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay their debt. They became slaves. Like that's how bad debt was. Now it's pushed. Like it's the norm. It's part of society.
Yeah.
Before I even had any idea of what life was with financial peace and like with Dave Ramsey, man, I never thought I would be without a car payment at all. Like it was just what you do. Like you want a car? Go get a car. Get a car payment. How much a month can you afford? Right. And now it's not like how much can I afford per month? It's how much does it cost? Because I'm going to pay for it for cash. I'm going to save up for it. I'm going to pay it with cash, and I'm not going to have any like debt, or I'm not going to have any chains to any kind of lender because I want my money to work for me. I would rather invest my money so that I can retire with dignity. And like Dave Ramsey says, like you live like no one else so you can live and give like no one else. Like that's what I want to get to. I want to get to a point where I can give outrageously, buy 100 bikes for kids and change their lives. Like
you make me think, how many blessings are we holding back from people because we are chained to our debt?
Right. We're giving all of those opportunities to the bank instead of giving those to the people who can, who God intends it for.
And I think that proverb that you quoted is so like on point, and it doesn't feel as apparent. It doesn't seem as apparent. It's very hidden. It is very masked. I would say it's just as potent, but it is brilliantly hidden in this, I don't know, like machine, like this just environment, like ecosystem that we have taken like just as default. I have to get a job. I have to get these things that are going to keep me having the job, and I can't lose a job because I need these things and they have to cost this much. And so this is just what keeps happening. Right. And this is this until I die. And then, and even if you have like 401k, but that I still need the things. And then, that's it. And you never gave away, like you never were generous to anyone, you didn't help anyone that was maybe needed, just some help to pay maybe, I don't know, their mortgage or for a month, or to take on, I don't know, a foster child, or there's just so many things that need help in the world.
Yeah.
That I think, like you said, we are just passing it on to, and what's interesting, and maybe if this takes us too far another way, and like too deep, let me know. But also the people who are like the banks and like the rich are getting richer, they're also slaves too. They're also enslaved to this fear that they need more, even though they have way more than enough. Right. So we are inherently like setting ourselves free when we can kind of steward, right, become aware of these things and break out of that matrix. That movie definitely comes to mind. Unplug. And we're also unplug. I know Kung Fu. But like we are, the more right we can do that. Yes, I get there may be less rich, but it's I don't know. I think it's partly setting them free as well in a roundabout way. Even just seeing like, oh man, people can live this way. But yeah, that like. I definitely can see it. Like thinking about how difficult it was for me to stop working because of like the amount of like anxiety and stress and all the different like, I had a new baby, like my Nina passed away, and I'm like, my job is just like, I was just like, I hate to say this, and I don't know if they will ever hear, and it has nothing, just a disclaimer. It had nothing to do with y'all, but I would be physically sick working. One, because of all those other stresses around me. And then two, I was just so disconnected with the work at that point. And I knew quitting was definitely the way to go. And And like to make decisions like that, not that I'm not as disciplined as what you're talking about. But we were in a place where we could, and I would imagine there's so many people just taking it out on their kids, taking it out on their marriage because they are just so financially enslaved to the job that they hate and to the car that they think that brings them happiness, but it just really is part of their chain.
You think different when you don't have debt. Like imagine your headspace if you like, go back to that scenario.
Yeah.
Now imagine what your headspace would be if you had zero debt. You had 6 months of your expenses saved in a savings account, and you already had started a retirement account that, you know, you could still maintain.
Yeah.
You would look at things way different. Like you would be like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah, I may have quit sooner.
Wait, don't you need this job? Nope, got no payments.
I may not have prayed as hard on it. I was like, is this really you, God? Like, yeah.
Right? You just think different. And I honestly, I 100% believe that like my career where it is now wouldn't be where it is if we hadn't gone through all of these things. Because
talk on that.
Because we put 2017, right? 2017 and 2018 is when we started making a change and we started getting out of debt. Got out of debt by 2019, a little bit into 2020. And COVID happened. The world changed, right? I have no payments anymore. I'm working from home now. I have zero debt. We're saving to get a house. And we have margin. We don't have any debt. So it's like getting a raise. When you pay off your debt, all of that money gets back to you. So you just got a $700 a month raise. Like it's crazy, right? You can do so many things and you can just start to save. You can start to build wealth. And like I was no longer taking jobs. Like I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need a new job. I hit a wall here. Don't like what's going on. Don't like the culture anymore. I need something new. So I started interviewing. I started going out and looking for new jobs, but I didn't need to take a job. And I didn't need to take a job that gave me an increase or like was even at the same pay rate.
You could have taken a decrease.
I could taken a decrease for a better quality of life. It was just a different mindset. So I took a job where I had two opportunities, right? I had one opportunity on the table that was a significant increase in pay. And I had another opportunity on the table that gave me more impact within the organization. It was a little jump in pay from where I was, but it gave me a lot more impact. If I was in debt, I would have taken that first one 100%.
For sure.
And I would have been locked in there and I would have been in that role probably still. Right. But I took the other one and it gave me a lot of experience that I needed to take the next step in my career. And I jumped into a director role within business. So like an art director is different. It's not like a true like director level role, like an executive level.
Okay.
But I got into an actual executive level role as a director.
Congrats.
And then that got me another position because I had that experience. And then now I'm working my way to like a VP and like more senior executive roles, but it wouldn't have happened if I would have taken that other job. If I would have had debt, I would have taken that other job in a heartbeat because it would have helped me survive longer.
Yeah. It would have, and you probably would have found a way to increase your debt.
Yeah.
Because I would think what the mindset was, I was like, okay, we just got set free when you didn't. And now we can do more things because we have, you know, a higher skill. Yeah. Because like now I'm an executive and executives, you know, they don't go to, you know, to Oklahoma. They go to, you know, to Europe or somewhere. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And so even for me, like recently, looking for a job, thinking of that, as like, I know getting rid of debt can help me just to plug myself into something that I can find more purpose in. Um, and that is something that has been on my mind because I don't want to have to, I'm just not very good at it. Like sacrificing like purpose and like just joy in what I'm doing for money. I'm really bad at
Well,
that.
think about it this way. Like I was the same way, right?
Yeah.
I'm a natural spender. I just like to spend. Aaron says I'm Delano Bougie. That's what she calls me. I don't know what that means, but it's probably pretty accurate. But I feel the same way. But we live in seasons, right?
Yeah.
And if you go to church, you know, like things happen in seasons. Right? You're in a season for a little bit, and you're in a season so you can grow. You don't. You should never pray for God to take you out of something, like take this away, take the situation away. You should pray for God to help you get through it. Because when you get through something, you grow from it and you get better, and you get to where God wants you to be.
Yeah.
If he just removes it, you don't grow from it. Right. Someone told me, a mistake is a terrible thing to waste. And like, it's so true. Like you have to grow through those things, right? And it's a season. It's just a season. So if you look at it that way, like, hey, if I'm going to pay off debt, I'm going to, for a season, I'm going to work like a dog. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to take our vacations in a tent in the backyard. Like we're not going to do anything. And the kids are going to say this sucks, but they'll understand why. And it'll become a game. The more you start to pay off, the more momentum you'll get, and the more you're gonna be like, I'm gonna see if I can do this faster. I'm gonna see how much quicker I can do this. Like we're almost there, and it'll be shorter of a season than you think it will be when you first start. But after that, after you get through that season, the rest of your life has changed. Because you've grown and you've learned that you can do something that looks like a mountain in front of you, that you can climb it and you can overcome this thing that people say can never be possible. Like I remember talking to somebody when I was probably in my 20s at work one day, and they were like, no, I don't have any debt. I'm debt free. I'm like, what? Who are you? Like, how is that even possible?
That's not very American of you.
Yeah. Like, what? But like, when you realize that you can do that like you're strong enough to be able to walk through that season, get past it, and then set yourself up on a trajectory that is way, way more fruitful than where you would have gone if you would have stayed stuck, then like your whole outlook is different, and you're able to do a lot more than you would have done over the course of 20 years staying in debt. Like we took our kids for the first time last year. We took them on a Disney cruise. This little Mexican kid from a small farm town in Central California, I never, ever thought I would have just the opportunity to take my kids on a Disney cruise. Like I always thought that's for rich people. Like, and trust me, we were on that cruise. There was a lot of that on that cruise. And we're not rich by any stretch of the means, but we manage our finances well, and we don't have debt, and we saved up, and we pay cash for that cruise. And we got to like swim with the dolphins. We got to do all these things, and we didn't have any debt when we walked back into the door at home. And like, I was overwhelmed with emotion on one night. Like me and Aaron were just standing on the boat looking at the sunset, and I just started crying because like it was just I'm getting emotional now, but just the fact that I never thought that was going to even be possible. Like I remember thinking I'll never be able to do that. That's for someone who's not like me. But to be able to sit there, pay cash, kids had an amazing time. They called it the best vacation ever. And to be able to enjoy that with my family, like I could not have done that if God hadn't put me around those people and God hadn't helped me get on that right path. And talking about that, like tithing, I don't know if you tithe, but whoever's listening, if you don't tithe, tithe. Because when you start tithing and you start saying, okay, God, I'm going to do it your way. I'm going to start giving it back to you. Man, he starts returning that. Like when we were paying off debt, money would just show up. It was ridiculous. Like it was crazy.
But Joe, that's counterintuitive to me paying off my debt.
No, right. It is, but you have to trust that you got to work with what God gives you, right? And God's giving you the 90% of what he's allowed you to harvest. What he's allowed you to harvest. He's like, 10 of it is mine. You can keep the rest and steward it, right? All he's asking for is a 10, which is fine. It hurts a little bit in the beginning. Yeah. But once you budget for it and like I said, man, it's ridiculous how money just starts to show up. Like God just starts to deliver. Like we were almost done paying off our debt. And we made the decision that when we were paying off debt, our boys were at an age where we weren't going to have that much time with them left before like Roman was out of the house. So we wanted to take advantage of every summer and do something small, at least, just to build memories while they were here. So we just drove down to Austin for a couple of days and we were almost done paying off our debt. We drove down to Austin and we got a check literally right as we were leaving. We got a check in the mail from the IRS saying that we overpaid them $3,000 and they were just going to give it back to us. Like, what? What? Okay, God. There's no way. I mean, the IRS just doesn't do that. Right? Yeah. And then we were trying to figure out what we're going to do with it. And on the way back, we were checking our phones and the church we were going to at the time, their youth ministry, the kids ministry trailer was stolen. So all of their stuff for the kids ministry was stolen. So they were asking people for like, if they had extra stuff, that they wanted to donate, that they were looking to help, like just build just get like the pens and the padding for the babies, like all of that stuff. Right. We're like, okay, God, we hear you. Like, yes, we're taking this money that you just blessed us with. And then 2 days later, this happens. That we hear you. That's what it's for. So we were able to buy a bunch of stuff for the kids ministry and help them out because of what God had blessed us with. It was crazy. Like the way he moves, once you start working in the direction and stewarding your finances the way the Bible tells you to, then yeah, it's amazing. Just things start to move.
Dude, so the simplicity, it's like almost hard to fathom, and like seeing you get emotional about it, it like is taking some time to register like how much sense it makes about like paying something without even that slight feeling, right? Nobody's physically putting you in cuffs when you walk off that ship. But I would argue that like I've taken trips to Italy with the kids and it was within our means and we knew we could pay off the credit card within a certain amount of time. But even though I knew we could, it was still that thing that I was going to be even chained to for a month or two. So just having that in the back of my mind, like while I'm on the trip or while we're getting close to, okay, when we get back home, got to be sure that we have everything locked in so we can pay this off in time. Instead of just like getting ahead of it, paying it off, I don't owe anyone anything. I can just be free on this trip. I would say that like, yeah, there must be. I haven't experienced it yet, so I'm working on this because we kind of just get ahead of it and we're like, we know we can afford it. Like, so we do budget. I have a budget, and but we're loose about it. I'm not as like stringent as we need to be. Was like, okay, this is how much you make, this is how much I make. We're like, we put tithing into there. We estimate the taxes. We do all like daycare and car payments and everything. And then like, okay, here's some spending for the kids. But now I'm hearing like, oh, guys, cousin Joey said that no more eating out, so you guys can't eat out anymore.
Go ahead, blame it on me. Dave always says like his name's a 4-letter word in some people's houses.
Yeah. But no, just thinking about like how different that's gonna feel of like it not sitting on it, even though I know I can pay it off, even though I know that check's coming in, that like we can, and it just paid off over time. I think what you're saying, there's something different to like not owing anyone anything, just being free. Yep. And even just feeling that accomplishment, right? Like you're just indulging in it, like from head to toe.
It feels different. It feels different because I've done that too, where, I booked a vacation and we put on the credit card. I know I can pay it off. It's no big deal, but there's always like every time you go to spend, you have that little thought in the back of your mind, like, am I going too far? Am I doing like, am I spending too much? There's always that little thing. But if you're able to pay with cash, know that you've saved and you have all this money and it's completely debt free, you're present. You're 100% present and you're taking it all in and your mind is not elsewhere. You're really there. It's just a different feeling.
Should we knock into to get into Christmas? Should we get into like Christmas spending?
Christmas is way better now. Well, we were getting out of debt.
Oh my.
Not so much. You guys gave me their list. 5 things. All I read was socks. That's how I interpreted all of those things.
I think though there's something to, like, especially your kids are of age, right? They're like older, they can understand or starting to appreciate like the significance of money. And man, even though money's just one of the things where it feels like I'm not hiding anything, but you kind of like are when you're not like talking about it out loud in the extent of, hey kids, like we don't, and it doesn't feel good. Like, hey, we probably shouldn't be eating out. Like, yes, we can, but that means like we are not going to be as free, like that means I don't even know how to explain it. There has to be a conversation.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So that's a very, very common, very common perception of what a budget is, of how a budget impacts your financial lifestyle.
Yeah.
You're not as free. In reality, it's the opposite. Because your budget gives you freedom to spend. Because you are planning every single dollar you make has an assignment before the month. So when we make our budget, it's called a zero-based budget. We put all of our income, what we're expecting to make that month, and with the every dollar budget is what we use, which I highly recommend, by the way. It's the easiest one I've used so far.
Okay. Every dollar budget, is that like an app or something?
It's an app, yeah.
Okay.
And
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's a free app. I have one login and we both log in so that way we can both see it on our phones and we can stay on the same page. But it starts off with your income. You list all your income and then it adds it all up at the top so you know exactly how much your income is. And then you start adding your line items for your budget. What you want to do is you want that balance at the top to be 0 when you're done. So that every dollar you make is assigned. Whether it's, I'm going to take the last $5 and put it in a savings account, or I'm going to take the last, $50 and add it to our groceries because we're probably going to have more groceries this month, right? Yeah. Whatever it is, you want every dollar accounted for. So if you do that, then you've built in certain line items for spending. So, me and Aaron have our own fun money lines in our budget. So it's like no questions asked. She can spend whatever she wants to on her fun money. She goes, gets her nails done. Yeah. She buys some fitness stuff, like whatever she wants to spend it on. That's her prerogative, right? Me, I go with my Delano Bougie stuff. I go buy and like, she just goes, whatever, it's your money. Right. But it gives me the freedom to spend without worrying, without stressing that I'm going over and I'm putting us in a bad spot. So now it takes us out of the equation because it's a math it's a math problem at that point, right?
Yeah.
There's only so much money we have. There's responsibilities we have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go out to eat this month, put a line item in the budget for how much you want to spend on going out to eat. And if you blow it all in the beginning of the month, then you can't go out.
Yep.
Like, it's not me that's telling you no, it's the budget.
Yeah.
Like, it's not up to me anymore. And that's usually what happens. Like, if Aaron's like, hey, and we talk about the budget in front of the kids so they understand.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, hey, Aaron's like, hey, should we go get ice cream? It's the end of the month, right? Hey, should we go get ice cream? Like, I don't know. Let's look at the budget and see how much we have in miscellaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have enough? Oh yeah, we have enough. Okay, let's go. Or nah, probably should wait till next month.
Does that like so? Because oftentimes when as a dad getting asked that, I'm like trying to feel my budget. Right, like it's
how much anxiety,
yeah,
until like it triggers.
Hey, let's go get frozen yogurt. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not shaking that much, so it should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, which is dumb, but it also like thinking of let me look at the budget kind of takes a damper to it. But it's real but it makes sense, and it's like, but it's real, and I think that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Is like if we keep on acting like money is this fake thing, and like then we're putting our kids in a bigger hole, and like and lying to them about what it really is.
Right.
And you got to be like, hey, like we can't afford it or we can. It's not that dad doesn't want to. It's that we just don't have the money this month, and maybe next month we won't do this thing, and we'll be sure we get ice cream next time, instead of just making it like, I think the budget feels good right now, so we're gonna go get it because I'm being a good dad. I think probably being a better dad at stewarding our finance as well. Yeah.
This is the way I look at it, Matt. I want to change my family tree. I didn't grow up with the knowledge of how to manage finances. I didn't grow up seeing, because my parents managed their finances separately and differently.
Yeah.
And, I saw some good habits. I saw some bad habits, and I didn't know what was right and what was wrong. I want to change that within my family. Like, I want my kids to know how to be responsible with their money and how to track it and how to control it. Because that's really what you're doing, right? Your money is not controlling you anymore. You're controlling your money.
Yeah.
And you're being intentional with how you want to build wealth and how you want to leave a legacy and how you want to change lives and continue to pour money into beyond just your four walls.
Yep.
So I want to impart that onto my kids. So if it means modeling those behaviors and saying, hey, right now is not the right month, or right now is not the right time.
Yeah.
Where we just don't have it in the budget because we've already spent that money elsewhere. I've already allocated that for the 401k or for the Roth IRA. That's already retirement. Like when we build out our budget, it's our income, our giving, our saving, and then like our four walls, which are clothing, transportation, food, and utilities. Right. Then everything else after that gets allocated, and whatever we have to spend, that's what we have to spend. If we have to cut something that month, then we have to cut it. But I'm prioritizing my future over the present. And I want to impart that on my kids so that way they can save. It's not hard to become a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire, but I want to be one. And I'm working towards it. But there's a study, Dave Ramsey and Ramsey Solutions did a study. It's the biggest study of millionaires to date. I think they've interviewed 10,000 millionaires and got all this data. And in the top 5 of millionaires, I always forget one, but the top 5 millionaires are the type of jobs that they are: engineers, attorneys, doctors, teachers. Teacher. Top 5 job type for a millionaire is a teacher.
There's crazy, some kind right? of error in that study.
There's not. The problem is you don't have to make a lot to become a millionaire, because it's not a matter of how much you make. It's a matter of how much you owe versus how much you own. If your net worth is $1 million, then you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much money to save in a 401k or a Roth and mutual funds. And over the course of 25 years, grow that with compound interest into $1 million. Like, it doesn't take a lot. You're talking about like maybe $200 a month.
I think, and definitely like what you're saying throughout, and we're kind of agreeing on a lot of this is like a mindset. And it's like, it seems like if a teacher can, we are definitely earning and making. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to belittle or put down anyone who's definitely struggling financially, and it would be very difficult to do any of these things, and like they're barely making it by a penny and they're super managing everything. I know those situations exist. I'm not talking down on those, but I would say more people now more than ever are making way more outside of their means, but it doesn't feel like it. They're more stressed than ever, but they have way more than enough that they can, like you say, a teacher is probably at like lower level, right? So we're talking about everybody up above a teacher is making way more than enough that they can have $1 million. But we are living way outside of our means, even if it doesn't feel like it. One other thing before I let you go, what you touched on something, and we're talking about finances, and I know people that are kind of divided about this. I have my own opinion about like finances and a marriage separated together. To me, it's a no-brainer. Together, it's like, I feel like you probably will agree.
Yes.
Did you guys ever do things separated, or was it always together? Was that ever an issue?
No, we kind of started separate. But quickly just put everything together. Just because it was easier for me to like manage when it was together, when it was one account.
Yeah.
But if you really think about it, like, how much more ahead can you get if you have double than single, right? If it's just me trying to make progress and get ahead versus like the power of 2 incomes or the power of multiple, right? It's just common sense. Like you have more margin when you have more income.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to manage and save with just this piece, like if you have all of it together, it's a lot. You're just in a better spot. And you have help, you have accountability, you're on the same page. It fixes a lot of marital problems. Like I used to hate talking about finances. I used to hate talking about money and talking about budget with Aaron, right? Just because we were in a good spot, right? So it was a point of anxiety, and it was a point of contention for us. But now it's like, it's no big deal. We're on the same page. And so we have our budget meetings. We talk about it every week, every 2 weeks. We talk about our budget. We'll see where we're at. We'll make sure we're still good. And yeah, so it's just a conversation.
When you said you were in a good place, and let me know if you got to run, but because we could just end and I say deuces to everybody. But when you say you were in a good place, to me, I kind of took that as in like, your marriage was fine, right? You're not arguing with your in-laws and all those things, and boys are doing good. And it's like, but the finances, I know they're not so great, but if I just don't want to bring it up because our marriage is good, and that's the one thing, and it's just an outlier, and we're just gonna kind of keep that there, and we're not. Is that what you're talking about?
Doesn't work. No? Doesn't work that way. I said we weren't in a good place.
Oh, you weren't.
And it was because of the finances.
Because of the finances.
Yes. Like, man, you can't hide that stuff. Like, like your spouse knows. Like, even if you think they don't know, they know. Like you can't hide it from them. They can sense it. They're really good at knowing when something's different and knowing when something changes, right?
Yeah.
And that you can't hide it. And you're just, they know something is wrong, and they just can't pinpoint it, but they know something is wrong, and it affects everything else.
No, for sure. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up, but because I do appreciate your time, and I know you have your boys to get to, you have your wife, and it is getting later over there. So many other things. I'm gonna have you back on, because there's like so many other things I want to talk about, like even getting deeper into like provider anxiety and how I recently dealt with that. But I know we're already like over an hour, and even getting to like more nitty gritty stories, because I know there's some in there that we've talked about. But dude, I appreciate like the practical tips that I'm taking. If nobody else gets anything from this, like I may not even have to read the book. I think you gave me enough, like just the snowball effect, the app, just being real about the budget. So just so many gems in here. I really appreciate it.
One more thing. If you do the budget,
yes,
do it together. One of you are going to make the budget, but you both have to do something with it. So like if you make the budget and you say, okay, you and Sandra are going to go over it, and you say, okay, this is what it looks like. Sandra has to take that and change one thing, at least one thing. She can't just say, okay, yeah, it looks good. She has to change at least one thing. Because she has to have some ownership. She has to have some accountability that she was part of that process too.
I love that. Yeah. Doing things together for sure. Yep. All right, everyone. Well, just really appreciate again, Jose Maestas, everybody. He actually, let me do a plug for your podcast. It will be coming out. Is that all right? I know it's not like officially.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called, help me with the name again. It's called
the Manhandled podcast.
Yeah, the Manhandled. Do you have, no pressure, do you have a release date? I know you're recording them.
Recording them. I don't have a release date yet, but it's going to be very soon, within the next few weeks. So,
okay.
Yeah,
we'll be recording an episode this Sunday. That's going to be like part of, I'm guessing you're doing like just releasing like a season and stuff. Yep. So, I'll be coming out on his. That'll be my first time going on somebody else's podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So that'll be fun. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for today. Appreciate everyone who's listened this long. Hopefully you guys have all gotten some, just a little bit of knowledge. I know there's definitely some wisdom in here that I'm taking myself. And just really appreciate it, Joe. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
All right, everybody. Until next time. Peace.